Welcome to the Macat Multimedia Series, a Macat analysis of John Stuart Mill's utilitarianism. Does the end justify the means? John Stuart Mill was a British philosopher whose best-known book, Utilitarianism, is one of the most influential texts in the history of philosophy. Utilitarianism is a set of ethics. Mill argues that the most moral action is always the one that provides the greatest happiness for the greatest number. Mill's ideas were strongly criticized when they were first proposed. Many readers thought that he encouraged selfishness, inviting each individual to maximize personal happiness at the expense of the happiness of others. Mill published Utilitarianism in 1861, in part to rebut those criticisms. Mill's thinking is often described as consequentialist because it judges morality in terms of the outcome of an action. But he stressed that it was not individual happiness, but the happiness of the mass of people that mattered. For Mill, utilitarianism was about cultivating a noble sense of individuals pursuing the best course to ensure the happiness of others, even if that meant personal loss for them. So, can we demonstrate the principles of utilitarianism in action? Let's imagine that two cities are at war. Each city has an army. One battle will determine which city is destroyed, along with all the citizens who live there. In the midst of this deciding struggle, one general spots a gap in her enemy's defenses. Now she's faced with a moral decision. If she can lead enough soldiers through the gap, she will likely win the war. But she knows there is a high probability that she, and many of the soldiers who follow her, will die as a result. She could decide to be conservative about troop losses. She and most of her soldiers would survive the war, but the battle will be lost, and the opposing army will march on her city, killing many more people. Mill would argue that the general should exploit the weakness in her enemy's defenses, that it is better to risk the lives of a small group of her soldiers to preserve the lives and happiness of the many more people at home. The general makes her decision and leads the charge into her enemy's weak defenses. Most of her soldiers suffer injury and even death, a loss of utility, by which Mill means the loss of happiness, usefulness, or well-being, that produces a greater utility, preservation of the lives of the people back at home. A more detailed examination of John Stuart Mill's ideas can be found in the Macat analysis.